Going over somebody's head without pissing them off is probably one of the hardest things to do in sales. Because we're down there below the power line usually with somebody that we know just can't make the decision, and we know we have to go above them or around them to get the deal done. But if we do it the wrong way, we jeopardize the whole deal. Again, these are the people that can always screw it up for us, but almost can never say yes. So how do we do that? Well, there's a couple of ways. One is, you can get your manager involved and have them call the VP. I'm not a real huge fan of that approach. My favorite approach to go over somebody's head without pissing them off is actually to ask them questions that they really don't know the answers to. A lot of times this has to do with priorities of the business, because it's really important for me to understand what the priorities of the organization are, because if I can't tie my solution to the overarching top 2 or 3 priorities of the company for the next year or so, then the likelihood of me selling is not very high. So I actually ask my questions that gear towards those priorities. And a lot of times those people below the power line don't really have the insight there. So as an example, I can say, hey, you know what, in preparation for our meeting, I was taking a look at your 10K or whatever it might be, and I noticed where your CEO said that your top priorities are 1, 2, and 3. Could you help me understand how what we're talking about right here actually aligns with those priorities, and what are some of the metrics that you're gonna use to help figure out the ROI and the impact that we're gonna have on those? A lot of times, again, people below the power line, they don't really have a lot of insight there. And when they push back, they either give you a vague answer or they push back and say, well, why do you need to know that? You can tell them. You can say, hey, well, my experience is if I can't tie my solution and the value that I bring to one of the top executive priorities, then you and I could have a great conversation here and we could be really feeling good about what this could do. But when it bubbles up top and it comes time to make that decision, they could say, well, no, sorry, we're working on something else. And then we've both wasted a lot of time, not just my time, but yours too. So that's why I need to know that information. So that if we can figure it out a way to ask questions, to show them the type of questions and the type of insight that we need, it opens the door, at least, to go above them without pissing them off. Another way is just to find out something totally different that is outside their realm of responsibility to make a connection to. So if you're dealing with somebody on the sales side of the house and they're below the power line and you're talking to them about X, if you can find something else that's happening in the business that you can make reference to that is outside of the world of sales, like marketing, or maybe you found a quote from an executive that you thought was really interesting and you can reference that. Could say something like, hey, I've been working with John down here and man, he's been a pleasure to deal with. As I learned more about your business, I actually noticed this, which is why I wanted to reach out to you, Mr. or Mrs. Executive. That way, if that email or call gets back to John, at least you try to make him look good. And there's plausible deniability because you're talking about something different. But that's tricky because you got to make sure it's something outside of John's world. So those are 2 ways to go over somebody's head without pissing them off. But be careful, because obviously they don't always work, and when you ruin that relationship, you're usually out of luck. Make it happen.